Welcome everyone to our weekly Forex market analysis call, and this is in preparation for trading for January 22nd to 26th, 2018. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started here, trading is very risky, so please be mindful of that and make sure you're not putting in more money than you can afford to lose. So just be aware of the risk that's associated with trading. All right, so to start off with, we'll take a look at our Forex factory here. Beginning of the week here, very, very important day. We have Bank of Japan monetary policy statement. So Bank of Japan has, they've always had a very loose monetary policy. They're all about pumping money into the economy and being able to boost the exports. So this here will be very important. And right now we are seeing the US dollar has really taken quite a hit. Part of that is to do with the US dollar itself because of all the problems that are associated with it at the moment, the government shutdown, and also just other issues that are going on in regards to the dollar. But also it will have an impact from other things like Bank of Japan monetary policy. That will have an impact on all Japanese crosses, but it could also boost the US dollar if they come out with further, just keeping it loose. That will be negative for Japanese yen, and that could prove to be positive for the US dollar. So just keep that in mind for as we go into this week. So that's at the very, very beginning. On Monday, we're going to have that. There's no real time as to when that's going to come out, but it will be later in the day because that's when the Asian session will start. So Tuesday, we have the press conference here again. So that will be important. And in the London session, we have ZEW economic sentiment number. So even though it's orange, it's usually an important number to pay attention to. And then PMI numbers are always important numbers because they are precursors to retail sales. And that's why the market will pay attention to these PMI numbers. They are leading indicators. So those are important on Wednesday. And then we have average earnings index. This one is usually important for British pound as well. You'll see it will normally move the market if it's too out of line with what's forecasted right there. So right now we're expecting 2.5% positive number, so which was pretty much the same as the last time. So if it drops, for example, that will be negative for British pound. And then we have crude oil inventories, CPI number here for New Zealand dollar. This is an inflation, and this is one of the most important numbers that the central banks keep in mind when they talk about raising interest rates and so forth. So this will be important. So just to keep in mind, especially to do with Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. So these are all commodity currencies. They export, all these three countries do a lot of export of the commodities. So oil has been going up and oil prices have sort of stabilized at a higher price point. And because of that, we have seen Canadian dollar go up as well, and Australian and New Zealand dollar. They all tend to sort of move in a similar direction because they're all commodity currencies. So Canada has been doing interest rate hikes, and we haven't seen the same out of Australia and New Zealand. But once you see one country sort of take the lead in that and commodities are stabilizing, this is something we may see in this year, in 2018. We could see Australia and New Zealand kind of start to do the same. So it will be the numbers that come out for these countries that will be important, because if the data is coming out positive, the commodities are doing really well, and the economy starts to do well, that pushes the central bank to raise rates. So we saw US raise rates, and as a result of that, Canada is tied fairly closely to the US. So Canada started raising rates, and now this could trickle to Australia and New Zealand. So just keep that in mind, a little bit of fundamentals there. On Thursday, we have ECB, so two major central banks this week. And again, I talked about a US dollar, it is taking a hit, but if euro here, last week, couple weeks ago, the ECB, the comments out of ECB were that they need to start giving interest rate direction to the to the market. So excuse me. So that was taken as a very positive thing, and that's why we saw that big move in the euro. Euro jumped up all of a sudden. So that's where that came from. So now we're not expecting them to raise interest rates. I don't think they're at that point that they're going to start raising the interest rates. But what they say about it in their press conference will be very, very important. So in the ECB meeting minutes, they talked about giving that forward guidance. And now this is their chance to sort of start talking about some of that. They may not talk about interest rate hikes at this point, but if they're talking about tightening of monetary policy, and then the economy is doing well, that the currency is doing extremely well, and all of that would be seen as bullish by the market, and we could see the euro go up. However, if we see more doubt from them, that would be negative for euro. But lately they have been positive because they've started tightening the policy. They have started cutting back on the money that they're pumping into the economy. So they've already started tightening. But now we're going to start hearing, or we could start hearing more about the tightening of the economic policy or monetary policy further. So that could be positive for the euro. Core retail sales for Canada, that will be important. And we have new home sales for US. Again, it's an orange number, so it's important, but it's not critical. But I have found this number could move the market as well. But the main thing really would be the ECB here on Thursday. Friday here, actually we have GDP numbers, preliminary GDP numbers for British pound, which will definitely can have an impact if they're not in line. CPI, like I said, for Canada, we have CPI numbers, again, a very important number that the central banks will pay a lot of attention to. And then we have GDP and core durable goods for the US. These will be important. But very, very important here, we have Bank of England Governor Carney and Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda speaking at the same time on Friday. So these could be market moving depending on what comments come out of these two central bankers. These speeches could be market moving. So keep that in mind. Central banks are back in focus again this week. So let's move on to our charts here. So now we have seen this big push out of the euro, and we are way up here. So price has moved a fair bit. We were looking very, so now we were looking very bullish here last week. Price has moved up, and now we are at an important support and resistance level that we haven't been in a long time. So now we have all this big move that we saw, big move to the downside. It's completely recovered now, and our next target here. So this one is interesting because we are right into this 123.20 level. And in terms of the market close here, the candle close for the week, we are seeing a big rejection on top. So this one looks like a pin bar, but we have a green body. I prefer pin bars, the pin bars to the downside like this, that have red bodies, red candle bodies, because they show us that price is likely to move lower. So this one is still a pin bar, so I would expect the price to move lower, but because we do have the bullishness in there, it may not drop very much. So in this case, we may see one of these moves and then a price going back up. So for this one, my bias would be slightly bearish here. So I'm looking at the target of 1.2100 right into here. And then based on what ECB says, this could get pushed up. They're likely to come in positive, so this could get pushed up. So that's what I would mark on my charts and keep that in mind. Okay, so that's euro. Let's move on to British pound here. British pound is looking bullish here. We are already starting to fill out this big candle. We have already broken above the resistance here. So now we are looking to go further up in pound here. So we are at 139.32. That was the high, and Next target would be 1.4180, 141.80 level. So this is looking bullish. We are holding above the highs. So that looks good. So bullish for pound dollar. Aussie dollar here. Aussie is looking bullish as well, but we are starting to come into those resistance areas. So weekly close is very bullish. I'm looking for price to move higher into the previous high here. 0.8120 will be the target, which is not that far. So looking for a bullish move for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar here. This one is more neutral. So this is bullish to neutral. And I'd be looking for price to move higher. But this is sort of like the euro here as well. So we could see a drop and then move to the next target here. So bullish to neutral would be my bias. And the target would be 74.30. I would look for once it crosses, but it needs to cross the previous high, this high right here. So once it crosses the high, I'm looking for price to move to the next level here, 74.30 level. And then we are into some pretty solid resistance coming up there. So for now, it has been going up. We have seen this a lot of bullishness in all the commodity currencies, including New Zealand here. So all the weeks have been bullish here. So I'm looking for more bullishness in this, but we could start to, because we are getting into resistance here, we could start to see the price slow down a bit. So bullish to neutral for a New Zealand dollar here. We have dollar CAD. Dollar CAD, we have had a bullish close for the week. So this is a bullish pin bar. As a result of that, I'm looking for price to move up higher into 1.2600 level, which is this previous level, and then potentially further up into 1.2680 level. So it's been 3 weeks. The price did not break the low. So that suggests that the price is likely to start moving higher now. So looking for price to move higher here based on this bullish pin bar, and 126.80 will be the target to the upside. Euro Swiss franc here. We are still into that upwards momentum here. Price hasn't really done much. It's a slow and steady climb. And the next target here, let's see, where are we? There we go. So the next target here would be 1.1900. So looking for a bullish move here, but we could see price come down, test this trend line, and then go back up again. But this one shows rejection in the bottom. We do have bearishness in the candle here. So I'm looking for price to drop and then bounce off of the trend line. So looking for a trade off of the trend line will be the best option here. And then looking for price to move up from there. Pound Swiss franc. This is looking bullish. We have the price formed a base here, and since then we've been moving steadily higher. So this one I'm looking for price to move higher into 134.80 level, which is the tip of the spin here. Looking for price to move up there and go test that level. So pound Swiss franc is bullish. British pound has been very, very bullish lately, and hence all the pound crosses have been following that and been bullish. So with this one here, dollar Swiss franc here, we do see a big rejection, but there's still weakness in the candle. So we could, with this one, it really depends on what the dollar will be. I'm looking for price to come and test the low again and hopefully give us a double bottom type of formation. So something like this and then bounce off of the bottom, 95.34. So this is very similar to, not completely similar, but still similar to dollar CAD. I'm looking for it to, just like dollar CAD came and see, we had this pin and we had this candle. So how it came and tested the bottom again one more time. That's what I'm looking for here with dollar Swiss franc here. So looking for price to drop, test the bottom, and then push up from there. So that's the outlook for dollar Swiss franc. Okay, pound yen. My computer restarted and all these old lines appear. Okay, so the next one here, dollar Swiss franc is, sorry, pound yen is looking bullish. We are testing the highs, though we are into some resistance here. So I would be careful with this one, but it is looking, it's kind of holding steady in that steady up move. So this is our trend. Actually, let me draw this one here. So this is our trend. So if you go to the closer trend right here, price has been steadily moving up and holding that trend line. So with this one, we have been pushing into this for the last 3 weeks, and it hasn't, it tried, it came down a bit, and then it has pushed back up. So right now it looks like it wants to break out to the upside because we have that little triangle going, and I'm looking for a break here. So I do want to see the breaks, the biases to the upside, but I would like to see a break first. However, having said that, we do have Bank of Japan. So any of these Japanese crosses that we look at, they could completely change, the outlook could completely change based on Bank of Japan, because we never fight the central banks. It is pointless trying to fight central banks going in the opposite direction. So the best thing is to wait it out, let the central bank decision come out, and then take a stance on it. But overall, I'm based on the technicals here, I'm looking for price to push up higher. 157.80 will be my target to the upside for pound Swiss franc, pound Japanese yen, sorry. Euro yen. Euro yen is just kind of holding this level here. So we have seen a rejection to the upside. So with this one, Euro yen, we have both the central banks talking. So I would expect volatility, especially in this cross. It can be very volatile with both of them sort of talking, and this could move the prices quite a bit. So with this one, it looks like price has rejected the high, and we could see it drop here and come back into this range here, the bottom one. So currently we're sitting at 135.40 here, and we could see a drop. So this one I would be bearish on. The first target would be 134.50, and that's a solid support there. And once it breaks down, then I'm looking for price to move back into this 131.40 level. But for now, looking for price to drop, but do keep the central banks in mind. Aussie yen here. Aussie yen is looking bullish. However, we are into resistance here. So I do need to see a break here. We need to see a break of 89.20 level. So that will be the first target, 89.20, which is not that far. And then I want to wait and see that the price breaks to the upside. And the best level to take a long would be once it breaks and holds on the other side, not the actual breakout, but once it stabilizes on the other side. And normally what we see is price will break out. It will pull back into the resistance, which will now turn into support, and then it will go on further. So that's the type of move I would be looking for. The bias is to the upside though. Okay, so gold. Let's take a look at gold. Actually, let's take a quick look at oil while we are at it. Oil looks like it's pulling back a bit. This is where we are. It's pulling into that support. It could pull back a little bit more into 61.80 level. And then if it holds above that, then looking to test the high once again. And above that, we are into 69.30. That's a little far, but okay. So that's the oil. Looks like we could see a bit of a pullback here. Hold above the high. So if it holds above this previous resistance, which will now act as support, then I would expect this type of a move. to challenge the high once again and potentially this. But for now, I'm just looking for a pullback and see if the price will hold above this resistance and turn that into support right over here. So that's oil. Let's take a look at gold. Where is my gold? Just give me a moment. Oh, it's right beside it. There we go. Gold looks like it's pulling back as well. And so I would expect a similar, I'm looking for a similar move here as well. That, and then potentially a move back to the upside. But that looks like it wants to pull back here. So I'm looking for price to come into this 1312 level or 1313 level right down here, and then see if it will hold this level. But it could drop into this 1292 area as well. So that's a potential. But for now, just a pullback. Any other questions? Okay, if not, so we'll call it a wrap. That would be all for today. Oh, and just a quick, just a quick announcement. So starting next week, I'm not sure if you guys have looked at my podcast or YouTube channel. I did in November, end of November, I did a little video on how to trade like a professional trader. So starting this week, I'm actually going to put together, not this week, starting next week, I'm going to put together a challenge where you can participate in the challenge. So I have set up a small account, $3,500 in it, and we will do live, not exactly live, but we'll do a review of that every week. And I will kind of walk you through the process that I use to trade that account, and you will be able to see some of the trades that I take in, or all of the trades that I take in that account, and what the P&L kind of looks like. And we'll do every week, I'll do on Fridays, we'll have a session like this, a live session, where we'll review the account together and we'll take away the learnings from that week. And sort of week on week, we will do implementations of what went well, what didn't go well, and things that we need to change. So you're welcome to join me on that. There will be more details coming soon. I'm going to do a video next week, and I will also have worksheets where you guys can follow along. So you can use the same process that I'm using, and you can take as you're trading. It will help you in becoming a little bit more disciplined and following the process. And the whole idea is to implement the process and implement the discipline so that we are able to get the results from this. So that's the main theme for this year. So stay tuned for that. There will be more information coming out next week. So right now I'm just in the process of building those worksheets and stuff like that. So I just want to make sure that I give you the tools, not just tell you what to do, but also give you the tools so you can follow along with me. So hopefully you guys will join me in that. I think that will be a fun exercise for all of us to do, and it should really help with our trading as well. You're welcome, Randy. So that's all I have. If you guys want to learn about my courses, you can go to tradingwithvenus.com/courses, or anything else you need, it'll be on my website, tradingwithvenus.com. So you guys have a wonderful trading week, and I will see you next week then. Bye for now.